consist of. You know, it doesn't have to be you, but it could be the ideal meal. May, what's your ideal, or it could even be a date. If somebody took you out to a restaurant, what kind of,
I think when I think of the ideal meal, whatever, it's more what you need. You need people. If you have food, you need people as well, because part of having a really enjoyable meal is conversation and sharing and a visual. So the nicest, the most enjoyable meals.
Is that candlelights and wine?
You don't know, wine helps, but that's you know, not everybody needs wine. I enjoy having some wine, or having people who enjoy having wine. It's also nice, and if you know that whoever your host is, or you are the host, that you are a good chef or a good cook, and you know how to present food. So how it looks is always important. Is always important to me. And maybe the meals that I enjoy most is a reasonably large table with 4 or 6 sort of people around, different sort of age groups, people you know well, and that there's a bit of animated conversation going out where it's like it goes from left to right. You know, you pick up on the conversation, and it's pleasurable, and it's, you know, there's a fair degree of speed with conversation going on, and that everything that is cooked is complementary. One dish is complementary to the other, and I suppose I quite like wine. I quite like people having sort of like at least 2 bottles of wine on the table. And I suppose preferably in the evening, where you have, also one of the ingredients of having a really nice meal is that you have time, you're not under pressure to disappear off someplace or be someplace or do something. So it's just a relaxed social interaction, and it's an excuse to sort of like show off how good you are at sort of cooking and presenting.
Right, before we move on to Graham, that reminds me of that program they have, I think it's Channel 4, where they have guests around, and what's it called? And then they choose whoever wins, and it kind of reminds me of that. Graham, what's your ideal?
And these days you have vegan, and at an average table you will have somebody who's vegan, somebody who's vegetarian, and somebody who's an absolute wholesale meat eater.
Carnivorous.
Yeah, and combine the entire lot.
Carnivorous, carnivores, I like it. Rare, still running around. Graham, tell us about what you...
Well, I just sort of eat. I don't really have any, I live on my own, I don't have any particular food thing, but I've noticed I'm becoming more flexitarian. When I
What?
Flexitarian.
What the hell is that?
Well, that's one of these new words. That means that I eat meat and vegetable, but I eat more vegetable. So I'm probably sometimes half to 3/4 vegetarian, and I'm doing that mostly for health reasons. I like the taste of meat, but when I eat more and more vegetables, because it makes me feel nicer, it's lighter, and also there's less of the meat fats. Maybe there's vegetable fats which are healthier, but there's less meat. Meat fats are a big cause of like obesity and heart problems.
Why do people give themselves this label? Meat eaters, vegetarian,
I'm pescatarian.
Taking the pescatarian.
I don't know. I mean the thing.
Or did you call yourself
flexitarian? Yeah. I don't mind.
Alright, yeah, okay, Shaz, what you got to say on food? Main meal, main diet?
any food. There's always more veg than anything else. Yeah, so I'm leaning towards more like the vegan side because I have a lot more days where I don't eat no meat.
Well, my best friend is a vegetarian, and when I go to visit him, we always have vegetable sort of meals. And he's a very good cook, and it's delicious.
Well,
it's lovely.
The Indians were good because they do a vegan vegetarian curry, and they did that long before this trendy thing. You know,
well, you say that, but
well, it was their
Jamaican
religion, wasn't it?
Rastafari's been eating idol food for a long time, which is what you would again another word for
Ital food.
Ital food, which is like no meat again. So it's just another word for veganism. You know, but Rastafari's been eating like that before it was fashionable. So again, yeah.
Do you know? Give us a little bit more about the vegetables and stuff in Jamaica. Is it spinach? Is it what kind of?
There's
fruits?
so many different.
Yam.
You've got breadfruit, you've got okra, a lot of the fruit and vegetables. You've got green banana. You know, your plantain, yams. There's a lot of vegan food, Caribbean vegan food that is quite good for you.
Okay, that's good. Yes.
Well, I read that in many poor parts of the world, people eat very little meat because it's expensive. And so partly the climate allows them to grow lots of vegetables, and they eat a lot of vegetables. It's the easiest thing to grow and to eat, and it's very cheap for them.
Forget about cheap,
So
it's good for your health, because my grand's always said to me, quality is better than quantity. We can say, it's cheaper to eat vegetables, but a lot of the time when you go to restaurants, the vegan meal or the salads are very expensive in England.
But here's what, right? Depending on where you're at, when they have the swarm of locusts, do you know they eat that as a delicacy?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
What the Chinese? How many variety of different kind of the crickets? There's fried crickets.
They eat disgusting stuff.
Right? There's grubs that you find in trees and stuff. Right? So in one sense, you can adapt to your environment. If not, your environment will adapt to eating you. But you adapt to your environment. There's one thing that really gets me sometimes when I see these thing when they ask for fundraising for famine in Africa and what have you, and you see a child with a bloated stomach, right? Now, the stuff they've given